Hey everyone. So you clicked on the video. I think that you have a decent idea of what we're going to be getting into. So it's going to be a fun ride. But I just feel like this is something like I've been noticing something very recently, and it's a thought that's been stewing in the back of my mind. But I just saw a video that I'm going to be talking about a little bit today, and I want to address something about cancel culture that I think that not a lot of people are talking about. And it's this idea of good faith, right? Like good faith efforts on behalf of the people who are victims of it or apologize or who it's been used against, however you want to frame it. What do I mean by that? Well, I want to start by talking about a YouTuber who I followed, right, for a little bit, at least, tentatively. Um, his name is, at least on here, Nux Taku, right? Big time, like over 1 million subscribers, big time, like anime, cartoon, commentary, kind of edgelord YouTuber, right? Um, he has a lot of very edgy humor, and that's very appealing to some people. And most of the time, it's not crossing any kind of line, but sometimes it's gotten questionable. And eventually, he made a video called I'm Getting Canceled. And it didn't go over great. Or, I mean, what he did, there were several controversies. I'm not going to talk about all of them, right? Apparently, there was like a racial one. Um, but he talked about basically all the controversies, all the things that people were criticizing him for online, and he just laughed at them, right? He didn't take them seriously. He called them out specifically. He knows what he is doing, and he just laughs at them. And this is a content warning. I'm going to play a clip that applies specifically to trans people. So, just content warning, just so you're aware.
But I said the N word when I pronounced that channel's name and tried to attack me on Twitter for doing it. You know how in anime there are traps? Like Astolfo, who looks like a girl, but turns out he's hiding something down there. Well, how dare I say the word trap? That is literally such a travesty. And clearly, I was trying to be hugely transphobic, even though I was talking about anime characters that are called traps, and they've been called traps for over a decade. Oh!
So, yeah, it's not a great look, right? It's very much not a great look. And to summarize, like, so there might be some people watching, I don't know, maybe some people came over from Nux's channel. Maybe you're Nux yourself. I don't know. In that case, welcome. Oh my God, it's so great having you here. But, yeah, so eventually, like, I saw this, and then I went ahead and went to Twitter, as I do. And yeah, this was basically my response to it, right? Nux Taku. I'm going to call these anime characters a slur. Twitter gets mad at him for using a derogatory slur which hurts trans people. Nux Taku. Twitter hates me now, so I'm going to say the slur again. And again, I acknowledge that some of you might be looking at me and thinking, Riley, he said that he's not being transphobic. He's calling these characters traps because that's what they're called. Like, that's just categorically what they are. And yeah, someone in the comments said something to that effect as well. And I'm just gonna read you basically the response, right? Or so the commenter said, "How do you use the word? Was he referring to trans character or a character who self-identifies as a trap? I thought it was only a slur if used towards trans people because of the rising femboy culture." Using it a lot for themselves, right? It seems reasonable to think that. And here's why I said. Yes, he was using the word trap. Established. 2, there are no anime characters who self-identify as traps. That was a term invented by Western anime watchers. If you want another source for this, I would very much recommend seeing this video right here by Contrapoints, Are Traps Gay, right? Basically did like a whole deconstruction of this term, right? Super like academically sound. Like, Nux, if you're watching this, I know in your most recent video, which we're going to talk about in a second, you said that if I can convince you of anything, then you would honestly apologize. Watch this. I'm trying to point for the camera. Watch that video. Watch it, and honestly, if you don't believe the validity of the harm that you are causing by doing this, then I don't know what to tell you. if my word is not good enough for you. But anyway, so as I said, there are no anime characters who self-identify as traps. That was a term invented by Western anime watchers. And 3, it's considered a slur because using it perpetuates a dangerous belief that trans women transition with the sole intention of attempting to trick straight men into having sex with them, which increases the risk of trans women being victims of violence. See the Contrapoints video, the same one I just mentioned. And so who the term is being used to describe is unrelated to the effect that it has. Someone else actually went on to explain that second point just a little more in depth, just for you, like you're the specific kind of viewer that takes the position that you do. The word that frequently translates to trap is otakonoko, which best translates to feminine boy or cross-dressing boy. This word really just means cross-dresser. It has none of the implied deception. It is not designed to trick anyone. In anime, if you take off your trap-colored glasses, you realize it's not handled much differently from cross-dressers in Western media. Honestly, it's actually handled a bit better. Some Western stuff involving cross-dressers is pretty transphobic and equates the two. At least in Eastern media, when it's revealed, it's usually more of, holy shit, you're a boy, rather than the Western reaction of, what the fuck? You tricked me into thinking you're a woman? Everyone make fun of this deviant. How dare you do this abhorrent thing? And please notice I'm using wording that could easily describe trans people too. TLDR, the word that trap comes from has zero implications of deception and trickery. It just means cross-dresser. Japan does not have an equivalent of the Western term. So categorically, you saying that, oh, this is fine, like it's fine for me to say this, and people are getting bent out over shape over nothing because that's just what they're called, it's not. All right? It's harmful. It harms me, right? Like it is harmful to me. It makes me scared to interact with people because I have to worry about people adopting this sort of view, right? But you don't see that, right? And I get that you don't see that. You don't have to deal with this kind of shit. Like, I understand why you would say that, but you gotta understand when people raise this issue that it's a legitimate concern, right? And I thought you did. I really thought that you did today when I sat down for dinner and I went on YouTube because that's what I do during dinner. And I saw that you made this video called I Messed Up. And yeah, I was not really thrilled because literally, if anyone wants to watch this, I'm going to summarize because there's only one clip I want to play from here for the purpose of what I'm talking about. You literally did, I mean, like, you know what you, like, there's a couple things, right? You know that you offended people. You know that. You agree, you stipulate to that, you acknowledge that, you know that you offended people. And you deliberately go out of your way to say that you do not care. You deliberately go out of your way to say that you don't give two flying fucks about what other people think of your content, of your positions, right? When I started out this video, I talked about the nature of cancel culture and good faith. If I want to articulate to you what I'm noticing from a lot of people and what people want out of cancel culture, and you touch on this a little bit yourself, right? You talk about like PewDiePie and other creators and how they make decent efforts to actually remedy what they did. And I can't remember if you used the term by mistake. You didn't touch on it if you did, but I think that what you are trying to articulate is that they made good faith efforts to remedy the harm that they caused, right? Granted, I don't know about the PewDiePie thing, so I don't know if he actually made a good faith effort to remedy whatever he did. I know that he's been criticized a lot, so I don't know where the internet is on that point. I'm in law school. I don't have time to keep up with all the little shit. But like, this is literally the exact opposite of a good faith effort. This is literally you going out of your way to say, I don't give a fuck what you think of me. I'm just going to fucking say whatever I want. And if it offends other people and if it harms other people, then fuck them. Right? I'm going to play a clip just to sort of hammer this point home. This is, from what I understand, some submissions from your fan base, the people who your words affect, and your opinions of those submissions.
Feel free to check it out. Being canceled. Oh, you're approaching me. Instead of running away, you're coming right to me. Nux, can't flex the crap out of you without getting closer. That's right, turn it into JoJo memes. Extremely cool. Everyone, why do you keep saying things that offend someone? Nux, I'll freaking do it again.
Do you not see the problem with this? I mean, I get that you think that it's like it's funny and shit, right? Like I get that, like, oh yeah, it's also funny, right? Like, do you not acknowledge that what you're saying is hurting others? I mean, like, obviously you don't, right? Like, it's very clear. And I get that you're coming from this position of, oh, what I'm saying is actually not offending. Like, it's not actually harming people. Like, people are getting bent out of shape over nothing, right? And yeah, and I'm going to use a word that might trigger. So, like, please restrain yourself when I just make some commentary as to why that is. I assume you're like a straight white dude and you come from a position of privilege and you've never had to worry about like someone like, I don't know, going out with a, or like interacting with any guy at all and them finding out that you're trans and being like scared of being a victim of violence, right? That's something I have to fucking deal with every day. I live in Baltimore. I have to walk down the street and like there are plenty of times where like someone will say hi to me. And before, I don't do this fucking anymore because I'm scared out of my life. But like when I moved here, I like people would like wave to me and say hi, and I would wave back at them and say hi back, and they fucking call me a slur or two, and I was fucking worried they were gonna pull a knife on me. And that's something I just have to fucking deal with, right? And this does not help. You going out of your way to say that it's fine to use this sort of language and encouraging your fan base of over 1 million people to think it's fine as well. Like, this is not good. You are perpetuating a culture of violence, whether you know it or not. I think that you said something. I'll play the rest of this clip here.
I'm not that evil. It's not like I do it purely to annoy people. I just think it's funny, and if you get annoyed, it just means your sense of humor is sorely lacking. So
yeah, there's clearly like, again, I want to be your ad. Like I feel like at some place, I feel like somewhere deep down in your soul, you're a fundamentally good person. Like I want to believe that, and that this is like, it seems like what this is suggesting is that this is coming from a place of ignorance. Like you legitimately don't get it. And if you don't, then all right, but you gotta be willing to listen to the people who are criticizing you. I mean, Jesus, you know? Like, this is literally like you have, and I mean, like, you acknowledge this, like, people who are watching are going to think it's super funny, like, ha ha ha, giant fire. But it's literally like there's a fire going on that you helped start, and people are like, hey, you know, you should probably put out the fire. And you're like, oh, that sounds like a great idea. Pours gasoline on it, right? And it's just like, okay, now the fire is infinitely worse, and you're actually going out of your way to harm other people. This is bad faith. This is a bad faith effort to respond to this entire controversy, to respond to cancel culture, right? I'm going to stop talking to you because now I'm switching my, like, to the general audience. Like, this is the reason I bring this up, right? And we see this all the time. We see this especially with, like, comedians nowadays. Like, that's what happens with comedians. This is, like, that is the general kind of response you get from comedians nowadays. Comedians say something a little edgy, especially, like, on the subject of trans people or LGBT people or whatever. All right? They say something a little edgy. People get offended. And instead of being like, oh, you know, this might actually have been, like, offensive and harmful to some people, and, you know, maybe I should apologize. No, they double down on that shit because... fuck, I don't know. I mean, if I want to be cynical, I would say it's because they know that the controversy is getting them more views and attention. But hey, I'm making the assumptions in their favor, assuming that they're not total pieces of shit. But because this is a bad faith argument, and because there are bad faith arguments, that implies, like what I am implying is that there are also good faith arguments and good faith responses to cancel culture. In the title, I should have put that this is a comparison between Nux Taku and Contrapoints. Now ContraPoints, now the controversy is still like people are still talking about it and whatnot. But I said this before, like I made a video talking about it that was, I guess, controversial. I thought it was very like moderate, or not moderate. I don't want to say I'm moderate. I'm very left leaning, but like, very, very. God, I don't want to say fair and balanced because that makes me sound like Fox. I thought I took a leveled approach to the situation, and so whatever. Like, I'm not talking about like what you should think of her, like generally, like if you thought that her apology was adequate or whatnot. But what I will say, like without a doubt, is that she did make a good faith effort to try and respond to the to cancel culture, right? And I'm going to make this point. I went through. This is just one clip. There are several clips I could have picked. There might be even better ones, but I thought that this was adequate for the point that I'm trying to make here, right? So basically, she's in the part of the video where she's talking about the tweets that made it sound like she was very NB-phobic, right? And she said this.
Again, we're mid-thread with missing context, but the tweet says, whereas I've met 20-year-olds in full-on boy mode who are like, hi, I'm a trans woman, she, her pronouns. So I guess by including this tweet in the ContraPoints is problematic collage, people are implying that I don't think it's valid for someone who presents male to identify as a woman and request she, her pronouns. Well, that's not true. I was surprised when I first experienced this, but I think it's valid. Next. Okay, mid-thread, no context once again, but now you go into these leftist Discord/Facebook groups and like 20 to 30% identify as some flavor of trans. Most of them are not conventional binary transsexuals. That seems to be the future. Okay, well, it's true that many leftist Discord servers are like this, but reading this back, I don't like the way the phrase conventional binary transsexuals is hitting my ear. I can see how it could imply that non-binary identities are somehow newfangled, which isn't true. There's been non-binary people for longer than there's been medical transsexuals, in fact, so we'll call this a bad tweet. I apologize for tweeting it, and I apologize to any non-binary people who felt trivialized by it.
That is good effort, or that is good faith right there, right? Again, you can say what you want about like the nature of what she said and whether or not it addressed the issue to an adequate degree that makes you feel satisfied with it. But she tried, right? It's not like she went out of her way to double down on like any views that are like NB-phobic, right? Like she said that she acknowledged that what she said could be construed in a negative light, and she apologized for it, right? And all this in like the midst of an hour and 40 video on cancel culture. And ultimately, like, it is a commentary on cancel culture, but it's also an apology video, and she put a lot of work into it. This is good faith, right? And largely, the trans community right now seems to be very supportive of her, and it seems to be, it seems to be very receptive. And I think a large part of that is because it's refreshing. I'm going to switch back to full screen. I think that a large part of that is that it is very refreshing to see a creator that people are invested in and that people really do care about and want to like. Yeah, she said some things which, caused a lot of controversy. And whether or not you forgive her for that, I'm not going to prescribe to you how to take it. But you can at least compare her to Nux Taku, someone who made a very bad faith response to his controversy, and at least be able to recognize that, like, comparatively, relatively speaking, she did a much better job because she acted in good faith. She at least cares about the community, and that shows in the quality of her videos and the quality of this video in particular. And I think that's something which, again, this is something for other people to explore. This is something to keep in mind as you go forward, because cancel culture isn't going away, right? Like, it's something which is going to be probably a theme for, the next however many years or so, right? But I think that when you're looking to see how effective people are, a good thing to look for might be whether or not people think it was actually a good faith effort, right? Good faith meaning that It's genuine. It's authentic. They actually mean what they say and go out of their way to show it to you. Bad faith meaning either dishonest or just outright harmful, to define a couple terms for you. So yeah, this is just these are just my thoughts. As always, take them with a grain of salt. Thank you for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed the content. And again, like, I don't normally enjoy doing these sort of reaction videos, but with this opportunity to be able to compare these two major YouTubers, I thought it was a good opportunity to make this point. All right, that's it. I'll talk to you later, fam. Bye.